Report. Yep.
Thank you for this opportunity, Your Worship, Councillors. Just to be brief and say that this is actually it is an excellent site, and it is of low impact all over, and yet the coverage gives us quite a breadth. Normally, if we can't get sites, and also and our options, as the officer said, is under the National Environmental Standard, and we do the roadside LiPo replacement. The other options too is a lot of times we have to replace one position with two poles, and so we have that dilemma. So my recommendation is to you is to if we can have the approval of this site, then a whole lot of boxes are ticked for this region for 2 degrees and for the public.
Thank you very much. My councillor's got any questions you'd like to ask? Or way of clarity, or Councillor Downard?
Yeah. This is by the big reservoir tank up on top of the hill, so when I first looked at it I thought that was the reservoir tank there, but it's not. So how much further? I mean, it's 10 metres high. How high is that reservoir tank? 3.3. Sorry? 3.3, so it's 7 metres over there. Because this has to go. Will this go out to submissions?
Well, as Ms. Rawley just said, it's probably an unnotified RMA issue. Now, if it's unnotified, it doesn't go out for submissions, but that decision hasn't been made. That decision will be made by Mr. Green's team, I would think, somewhere in the near future when they've had the application come to them.
My only worry is that is the only Hinemoa kindergarten is right there. I just wondered whether they should be consulted. That's because it's right at their back door. As in, that's my only view looking at this concern. Sorry.
Councillor Hickman, sorry.
Yeah, it's probably a question to Alison, I think. While I appreciate the RMA perhaps not needing public notification, and I know that this is a utility reserve for water purposes, wouldn't you think it perhaps prudent, because it's going on a reserve and it's extra high, that we should at least consult with the adjoining property owners?
Into it.
What the report raises is that in making a decision, council needs to consider whether or not they think this is a significant decision, and whether they feel that there will be a large amount of community interest in this decision. If it is considered that it's a significant decision, then yes, they will do consultation. If the council doesn't feel that this is significant, then
I asked the question because I know the council went to quite considerable expense when they put the water tank there to actually put it into the ground so it was more environmentally sort of acceptable. And I know at that time all the residents were heavily involved in what was happening, because with all due respects, it is perceived to be a reserve by the general public. Yeah.
I think Mr. Green's wanting to put a bit of meat on the bones.
Mr. Chairman, all I say is I'd point you to page 7/5, which has got the suggested resolution, which in that we suggest that that consultation is undertaken with the adjoining landowners, and that the results of that consultation is brought back to you before you make your final decision. So your decision today is really to say, in principle, we think it's okay, but we want to go out and see what the community around it think, and then we'll make our decision from there.
Okay. Anything further, sir?
I was just to say one thing regarding that We very much see the consultation being required, if required, as part of the resource consent process. They look at the amenity of the site, whether how it fits in terms of the amenity of the locality location. And it doesn't actually sit within the Local Government Act in terms of talking in terms of consultation. In terms of the location of this site, we did pull our hair out for a long period of time trying to find a way to provide service at this location. It's a residential area, there's trees, it's a built-up area, there's no commercial infrastructure there that we can find. This was, as far as we could see, the best solution to provide coverage at this location, which is not on commercial, not on a good distance away from residential properties, and a reserved land, a low impact site. The closest residential boundary to the property is, as we understand, about 40 metres from the closest boundary. The closest residential house is another 20 metres away. That's at least 60 to 70 metres away to the closest residential house to this property. If we weren't able to go in this location, the alternative solution would possibly one or possibly two roadside sites, which are on lampposts, which we can do as of right, which are significantly closer to residents, houses, and we feel this location is the best location in that it's a good distance away from residents. It's on an existing infrastructure reserve. It's a low impact site, and it does provide the coverage objectives. We don't really want to go down the track of needing to build more than one site on lamppost. Possibly more than so
Councillor Johnson?
If you go onto the lamppost, do you need to go as high?
we probably need to go higher.
Off a lamppost.
With a lamppost under the NES provisions, we can go 30% above the existing height of the lamppost. If the existing lamppost is, for example, 8 metres high, we may need to go 10, even 12 metres high to provide the same level of coverage. And that's if we can provide coverage with one site. In the actual course of affairs, it may require more than one site to cover the same area.
Just a question to staff about the risks. You know, the telemetry installed for the water supply, has that been covered off? The existing radio equipment provides communication and needs to ensure that the equipment being installed part of the proposed lease will not interfere with existing council. Has that been?
We've already covered that in terms of design, and also on top of that, in the lease itself, we've got provision that we can't affect the council's water supply, or we can't affect the council's electric.
Questions from me. So, how high is this in total?
2.5 metres.
How high is a normal lamppost in a street?
Vary between 7 and 12 metres or so.
Normal lampposts in the street vary between 7 and 12 metres. Just to give me a perspective on this, is 10 metres high. So if somebody poked a lamppost up there with a light on the top, the lamppost would be just as high, would it? Or within two?
Yes, yep. But if we're going to use that lamppost, we'll put our teams above the lamppost.
So this is not a reserve. This is council-owned land in fee simple. So just bear with me here. If I owned this bit of land, if it was my piece of land, and these gentlemen came along to me and they said, we want to stick a post up here, same height as a lamppost, and we want to pay you $7,500 a year, would I have to consult with everybody around me?
Nothing in this makes you. It's whether or not you wish to.
And so if we didn't allow this, you're telling us here today that you'd be going out into these roads around here, Tamatea Road and what have you, and sticking them up off lampposts, which you're allowed to do as of right. Have I got that clear? Okay, I'm clear. Any further questions? Okay, there's a suggested resolution. Sorry, somebody?
Plus GST.
My last question was, are you negotiable? But I thought I'd better not. Okay, moving to page 7, bar 5. There's a suggested resolution marked 1, 2 and 3. Is there a mover in the room? Truman, seconder.
3,
Councillor Johnson. All those in favour?
Aye.